My niece Chloe Carter didn't scream when she snapped off her own fingernail. That was the first sign something was very wrong. Her parents, Todd and Denise, froze in shock. Blood welled from her nail bed, yet Chloe just laughed manically. "Mom, Dad, I swear to God, I can't feel anything. I did it, I finally did it." Then came the second nail. Then the third. Crack, snap, crunch. The grisly sounds of nail shattering echoed through the living room. Blood dripped freely onto the hardwood floor, and Chloe's grin only widened. She looked like she'd just won the lottery. Denise bolted for the medicine cabinet. "Get the antiseptic. No, the Tyron. Oh my God, she's bleeding all over. Chloe, you can't live like this, you'll get infected." Chloe yanked her hand away. "Relax, Mom. I've been healthy for 23 years. I'm not about to drop dead now. Plus, hello? TikTok live streaming? This is the jackpot." She raised her hand toward the light, showing off the bleeding stubs. "This is going viral. I'll get millions of views. With this power, I'll make a fortune. I'll buy you jewelry, Mom, and Dad. I'll replace that old car." Todd's face lit up. "You serious?" "Hell yeah." He plopped onto the couch and started browsing car dealerships. Denise was still panicking. "But you don't feel pain. Chloe, you won't know when you're sick or injured. We have to take you to the hospital." From the kitchen, Marilyn, my mother, walked in, annoyed. "Oh, stop fussing. It's just surface wounds. They'll heal. Emily, you're a doctor. Back me up. There's no real risk, right?" I froze. Everyone turned to me. Not just looking, waiting, expecting. Chloe's eyes gleamed. Her stare was sharp and calculating. One wrong word, and she'd come for me. Just like last time. Because in another life, I had been in her place. Last time, I was the one with congenital analgesia. A body that didn't register pain. When my family found out, they didn't help. They didn't protect me. They called the media. They set up cameras. Live streamed my body. God's blessing, they said. A miracle. They wanted fame. They wanted money. I refused. I gave myself to medical research. I let the hospital document me, study me. My mentors sheltered me. I was finally respected. Chloe didn't like that. She came to me begging for money. I gave it. All my savings from side jobs. Because she was my niece. But she wasn't satisfied. One night, she cornered me. "Why do you get the power? Why do you get to be special?" She tied me up and carved 108 cuts into my skin. I screamed for Todd, for Denise, for Marilyn. They watched and said, I deserved it. I died. I died afraid, in agony, alone. And then I woke up, back in time. This time, Chloe had the condition, and I was going to let her keep it. Chloe's excitement didn't die down. In fact, she was thrilled by the idea of taking it further. She announced she'd perform the 18 tortures of ancient times on camera to gain followers. I said nothing. She couldn't feel pain, but she also couldn't feel when her body was breaking down from infection, swelling, or sepsis. Congenital analgesia wasn't a gift. It was a death sentence wrapped in glitter. But Chloe didn't care. She was drunk on attention. That night she recorded herself pouring salt and rubbing alcohol onto her open nail beds. Her fingers were raw, red, and leaking blood. The comments poured in. The live stream hit 200,000 views within an hour. Just watching her made my stomach churn. "Chloe, your wounds are going to get infected," I said, almost out of instinct. She turned toward me, smile twisted. "Oh, worried about me now?" Then casually she added, "Hey, Aunt Emily, just to be safe, why don't you pull out your fingernails too? That way, if I ever get an infection, we'll feel it at the same time. Sound fair?" Her grin was full of malice. I could feel pain. Real, searing, flesh-tearing pain. And Chloe knew it. Before I could reply, Marilyn pinched the inside of my arm so hard I winced. "She's your niece," she hissed. "You have to help her. It's just a fingernail. Stop being dramatic." She held me down. Denise walked in, holding a pair of pliers. Memories flooded me. Years of being the invisible daughter, the ignored girl, the live-in servant for a family that never wanted me. Chloe had been treated like a princess her entire life. And I had funded that illusion. Because when Chloe smiled, Marilyn smiled. When Marilyn smiled, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I had some value. But I had no value to them. None. Not unless I bled for it. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed the pliers and turned on Denise. With one swift motion, I clamped onto her thumb and pulled. She screamed and dropped to the ground. Todd lunged at me and slapped me across the face. I staggered but didn't fall. I turned, grabbed his arm with the same pliers, and crushed it until his biceps went red and purple. "Back off," I roared, brandishing the pliers. "Anyone comes closer, I'll do the same to you." Todd stepped back, face twisted in rage. He looked ready to kill me. But Chloe? She wasn't scared. She stormed forward. "You hit my parents? You crazy bitch. I'll kill you." She really thought I'd never touch her. She was wrong. I slapped her across the face, hard. She spun, disoriented. She couldn't even feel it. Marilyn gasped, but didn't dare touch me. She grabbed a takeout bag from the table and hurled it at my head. "Ungrateful monster, get out of my house." In the corner of my eye, I caught the live stream comments blinking on a hidden screen. The chat was ecstatic. "Yes, drama. Hit her again. She'll beg to stay, just watch. She's the villain. She deserves this. She's just jealous of Chloe." I stared at the glowing text. They didn't know me. They didn't know anything. But still, they cheered for my humiliation. Chloe crossed her arms, triumphant. "Go ahead, Aunt Emily, beg. Say you're sorry. Maybe I'll forgive you." I didn't say a word. Instead, I picked up the takeout bag Marilyn had thrown at me, slung it over my shoulder, and walked out the front door. Let them rot in their delusions. I had work to do. I moved out the same night. My former colleague from the hospital, Rebecca, welcomed me like family. She arranged for me to join her research team. I had spent so long stuck in basic care because of my home life. I never thought I'd get the chance to study rare diseases. But now, I was free. I threw myself into the work. I pored over my notes from my previous life, the symptoms, the behavioral patterns, the medical consequences of congenital analgesia. I began drafting papers, proposals, ideas for treatment and early detection. This time, I would turn my suffering into something useful. I didn't think about Chloe. I didn't call. I didn't check her live streams. I wanted her out of my life. But that girl never stayed away for long. One night, after an exhausting 12-hour shift, I had just collapsed into bed when my phone rang. It was Marilyn. "Emily," she said sweetly, "have you seen Chloe's latest stream? You should be proud, she's famous. One night of streaming and she made more than you do in a month." I sighed and opened the app. Viewers, 500,000 plus. Chloe sat cross-legged in front of the camera, wearing a hot pink tank top, hair curled, face glowing under ring lights. In front of her was a steaming bowl of ultra-spicy takeout. Next to it, 5 of the world's hottest chili peppers. She grinned at the camera. "This is it, fam. The spiciest meal on the planet. I'm gonna down it in 10 minutes. No water, no tears, just raw pain, or, well, the lack of it." She winked. People spammed the chat with rocket ships and donation cars. Chloe dipped her fingers straight into the oily sauce and shoved food into her mouth. I caught a glimpse of the gauze taped to her fingertips. Blood had soaked through it. Her wounds hadn't healed. I sat up, alarmed. How had her family not taken her to the hospital? Did they not see the signs of infection? Necrosis? I couldn't help it. I called. Denise picked up, her voice snide. "Oh, look who suddenly cares. If you want back into the family, just say so. Post a video apologizing to Chloe. Maybe she'll let you back in." In the background, Todd shouted, "The hell she will." That selfish brat walked out. Let her rot. My mouth curled in disbelief. You're the ones who called me. I opened the live stream again. Chloe was chugging hot water between bites. Her lips had turned pale. She wasn't sweating. She wasn't even flinching. No one could eat that much capsaicin without a reaction, unless they literally couldn't feel it. Take her to the hospital, I said. She's showing signs of gastrointestinal stress. Her stomach lining. She's fine, Denise snapped. Don't act like you care now. Chloe suddenly snatched the phone. Hi, Aunt Emily. She cooed sweetly. Still jealous? Go ahead, report me, but remember, whatever happens to me has nothing to do with you. So stay out of it. Then she hung up. I stared at the dark screen. My stomach twisted. She was spiraling, and her family would never stop her. I had tried to walk away. I had tried to leave them behind. But the past never dies. It waits, patiently, until it's ready to strike again. It happened 3 days later. The chat was in chaos. I hadn't checked in days, but now my phone was vibrating non-stop. Notifications from the app. News alerts. Social media posts. Chloe had collapsed on stream. A replay had already gone viral. She'd finished the entire bowl of hellfire-level food, but then her lips went ghost white, and blood started pouring from her mouth. Her eyes rolled back. Her body convulsed. And then, silence. The camera was still running. The chat flooded with stunned silence. Then speculation. Then donations. Then chaos. Someone posted a screen recording of her gauze falling off, revealing infected, pus-covered fingers. One commenter wrote, "That kind of wound should send anyone into shock. No anesthesia. No reaction? She has to be pain insensitive." Another, "This is exploitative. She's clearly sick." Another, "She's lying." This is all fake. But under it all was the truth. The word spread fast. Chloe Carter had congenital analgesia and had been live streaming self-mutilation for clout. She was no longer brave. She was a freak, a fraud, an abuser of sympathy. And just like that, the tide turned. The comments on her old videos flipped. People once in awe of her pain tolerance now accused her of manipulating viewers. She's the reason people think rare diseases are entertainment. Ban her. This is trauma porn. She should be institutionalized. And then her account was banned. Completely wiped off the platform. That was when Marilyn called again. "Emily, something's happened to Chloe. She's in the hospital. Please come. It's serious." Her voice was calm. Too calm. If I hadn't seen the scrolling chat just now, I might have believed her. But I knew what this was. A trap. Still, I answered gently. "Okay. I'll come right away. Because this time, I'd be ready. No more mercy. No more family ties. Only reckoning." The hospital smelled like bleach and burnt coffee. I arrived to find Chloe lying in a VIP room, surrounded by Marilyn, Todd, and Denise. Their designer handbags sat on polished counters, their expressions practiced with grief. I had barely stepped through the door when Denise slapped me across the face. "This is all your fault," she shrieked. "You knew her stomach couldn't handle spice. Why didn't you stop her?" I blinked, then calmly slapped her back. Hard. "You're her mother," I said. "You watched her hurt herself for likes. You took her money. And now that she's dying, you want me to fix it?" She gaped, stunned into silence. Todd started rolling up his sleeves, stepping toward me. "You think you're better than us?" Your arm still sore?" I asked coldly. "I can replay that phone recording from last week if you'd like." He froze. I looked around at all of them, so rehearsed in their outrage, so hollow in their concern. Then Chloe stirred. "Aunt Emily?" she whispered, reaching a trembling hand toward me. "You're finally here. Can you sign off on my surgery?" Her voice cracked. And then she started crying. But it wasn't the tears that bothered me. It was what she said next. "You were doing experiments on me, weren't you? You just wanted your research. You didn't care if I lived or died. The door burst open. Cameras flashed. A crowd of reporters flooded in, lenses pointed at my face. "Dr. Emily Carter!" Someone yelled. "Did you perform illegal human testing on your niece? Were Chloe's injuries part of your research? Are you guilty of exploiting a patient for scientific gain?" Behind them, Marilyn stood with a solemn expression, hands clasped, like a grieving matriarch. I saw the glint in Chloe's eyes. She'd set this up. She wasn't just playing the victim. She was sacrificing me, and she had receipts. A USB drive was accidentally dropped. A reporter snatched it up before Chloe could stop them. "Don't look at it," she cried weakly. "Please, it's private." The reporters opened it immediately. Inside, all of my unpublished research. Everything I had written about congenital analgesia. Notes, diagrams, early prototypes of treatment plans. Nothing unethical, nothing invasive. But without context, it looked damning. The feeding frenzy began. She's been testing on her own niece. Medical monster. Lock her up. I clenched my fists. Then I reached into my bag and pulled out my insurance policy. A hidden camera. I held it up. "Done with your show?" I asked quietly. "Then it's my turn." Chloe's face drained of color. "No," she whispered. I pressed play. Her voice filled the room. "Mom, Dad, I swear I can't feel pain. I've been healthy for years. I'm not gonna die. Streaming is gonna make us rich. I'll buy you jewelry and a new car." Clip after clip played. Her bragging. Her mockery. Cruelty. Then, her turning to me. "Aunt Emily, why don't you pull out your nails too? That way, if I get sick, we'll know together." The crowd went silent. Marilyn's mouth fell open. Todd turned to leave. Denise nearly fainted. Chloe lunged for me, screaming, "Turn it off!" But she was too late. The public had seen. The mask had fallen, and the reckoning had begun. Chloe wasn't done. Not even after the video went viral, after every news outlet flipped, after the entire internet turned on her. She tried to pivot, claimed it was performance art, said I was the mastermind, that she was manipulated, but no one was buying it anymore, except the dark corners of the web. A group of researchers, my former colleagues, showed up at the hospital just as security was escorting the media out. Rebecca stepped forward, waving an official statement. All research conducted by Dr. Emily Carter was reviewed and validated by peer review. No human testing occurred. Chloe Carter's condition was exploited by her own family. Her words silenced the last of the reporters. But Chloe had already begun preparing her next act. I received a message 2 days later, an invitation from Chloe to dinner. I knew better, but I went anyway, not because I trusted her, but because I needed to see what came next. The restaurant was remote, almost off-grid, a so-called farm-to-table shack in the hills. When I arrived, Chloe looked radiant, her skin pale, her smile flawless, her tone cheerful. She clung to the arm of a young man I didn't recognize. He looked too perfect. "Emily," Chloe said, glowing. "This is Ethan Walsh, my fiancé." His handshake was cold and lingering. "Pleasure," he said. "Chloe speaks so highly of you." His eyes didn't blink. I knew immediately. He was the one from the bullet chats. The leader. The one they all listened to. "You must come celebrate with us," he said. "It's such a special night. Chloe's recovery, her comeback, her future." I didn't respond. I only studied his movements, and I planted a tracker in my pocket. Later, Rebecca would tell me the truth. Ethan Walsh wasn't his real name. He was a digital predator, a cyber cultist. He ran networks of anonymous dark web streams, broadcasting illegal content. He found people like Chloe, people with rare conditions, and convinced them they were special, convinced them their suffering was art. He groomed them, broke them, used them. Chloe was his newest masterpiece. He had promised her fame, love, power, and in return, she gave him blood. Literal blood. Rebecca found forums, private ones, where Chloe's latest videos were sold. Each file named like chapters, salt on bone, fire tongue, wire walk. The comments chilled me. She's beautiful. She doesn't even flinch. She's the best one yet. They weren't talking about a person. They were talking about a product. I stared at the screenshots until my eyes ached. I could feel it. The rot. The system that had nearly consumed me was now fully feeding on Chloe. And Ethan? He was the puppeteer. But he made one mistake. He invited me in. And now? Now I had everything I needed to burn him down. They invited me to the show. Of course they did. Ethan smiled like it was nothing. We're hosting a private stream tonight. You've been talked about so much online. We figured it'd be poetic to have you as our guest of honor. I smiled and said yes. That's what predators don't expect. That you'll walk straight into the den, eyes open, dagger in hand. They took me to a secluded house in the mountains. It looked like a lodge, rustic and cozy, but the basement was concrete and steel. Wires snaked across the walls. Cameras in every corner. Harsh white lights. Chloe was already there. She looked thinner, paler, makeup caked over dark circles. Her arms were wrapped in gauze. But she still smiled when she saw me. "Aunt Emily," she said softly. "Thank you for coming." I said nothing. I had my own cameras now, hidden, broadcasting to law enforcement, to Rebecca, to people who believed me. Tonight, they'd see everything. The live stream began. Viewers, 1.2 million. Ethan welcomed them like a game show host. Tonight's theme, 18 ancient tortures. Can our pain-immune goddess survive the gauntlet? Or will our guest of honor step in for her? The crowd roared in the chat. Flames. Donations. Blood emojis. They spun a wheel. A metal rod heated over fire. Chloe stepped forward to touch it. She hesitated. For the first time ever. Hesitated. Then she collapsed. Ethan panicked. Chloe didn't move. He rushed to her side, slapping her face, shaking her, cursing under his breath. Then he turned to me, fury twisted on his face. "You," he growled. "You'll do it instead?" He grabbed my arm, dragged me toward the glowing red rod. The heat singed the air. I didn't fight, because I knew what was coming. The door exploded open. SWAT teams flooded in. Shouts. Flashlights. Screams. Ethan lunged for the cameras. I tackled him. He fought like an animal, but I held tight. I screamed for the cops. They pulled him off me and cuffed him. Chloe was rushed to the ER. She survived. Barely. The bullet chats that had haunted me for years? Gone. Silent. Dead. Without Ethan, they had no voice. I stood outside the ruins of that basement. The sun was rising. Rebecca stood beside me. "You did it," she said. I nodded. For the first time in 2 lives, I was free. The days after the raid felt unreal. Ethan Walsh, if that was even his real name, was exposed as a serial abuser. His dark web archives were full of victims. Women. Children. People like Chloe. Lured by attention and destroyed for profit. He was sentenced to death. And that still didn't feel like enough. Chloe was diagnosed with late-stage stomach cancer. Her untreated injuries, the repeated infections, the constant trauma, it had all caught up to her. Her body was failing. The doctors told Marilyn, Todd, and Denise to prepare for the worst. When I arrived at the hospital, Marilyn cornered me in the hallway. "This is your fault," she hissed. "If you had stopped her?" I cut her off. "If I had stopped her, you'd still have used her." "You never loved her," Denise added tearfully. I turned to leave. "Emily," Marilyn shouted. "She wants to see you." I didn't expect that. I went. Chloe lay in the bed, gray and hollow. Her hands trembled as she reached for mine. "I don't want to die," she whispered. "I want my body back. I want the pain. I want to feel again." I stared at her. "Now you want it back? After what you did?" She coughed. Blood touched her lips. "I was jealous. Of you. Of your life. I thought, if I took your gift, I'd become you. But you didn't become me," I said. "You became exactly what they wanted." She nodded, tears trailing down her cheeks. "I'm sorry." It was the first time she'd ever said that, but I didn't need it anymore. I stood up. "You wanted my pain?" I asked quietly. "You got it." Then I walked out. She died the next morning. Todd lost everything. Denise burned down the family home in a nervous breakdown. Marilyn disappeared. But I stayed. I stayed with the research team. Our treatment for pain insensitivity was finally approved for clinical trials. We got our patent, our funding. We gave every dollar to those who had been hurt like me, like Chloe, like the ones Ethan buried. I stood under the spring sun one morning, feeling the warmth on my skin. The wind touched my cheek like a promise, and I realized. There was no bullet chat anymore, no whispers in my head, just silence, and the sound of my own heartbeat. Alive.